seemed to be a battle, but Parker Thompson in the end was a driver that really was dominant. I think the entire race, he was just waiting for his opportunity after losing the lead on the opening lap, just to regain the lead, and after that, checked out.
I think right now, Parker Thompson, the fastest driver in this Indy Pro 2000 paddock, running with Able Motorsports, qualified on the pole position. Of course, we get that big start down into turn number 1. In talking to Parker afterwards, one of the biggest things for him was he's had trouble here before in USF2000. He's been on the pole here at the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. That inside line going into turn number 1 is not the best. It's not so much grip down to the bottom. There's more grip on the outside. And he's blown that corner before. He's had drivers come sliding down the inside, and just as he's turned in to take the lead and come out of turn 1, he's been taken out. So I think he was looking in the mirrors. He even said, Rob, I didn't go in as deeply as I probably could have. Rasmus Lint able to come around the outside of him. So Lint leads early, but Thompson just stuck with him the entire time. Waited until about lap 16 of that 25-lapper, made a good move down into turn number 1.
So Rasmus Lint having a good race. So too Stingray Robb. I think a driver who had his ups and downs in 2018, came out of the gate, and I thought an impressive run, moving over to Juncos Racing this year. Stingray looked very good, I thought, yesterday.
You know what, the great thing for Stingray is he's shown a lot of consistency, but needs a little more speed. You said he had some ups and downs, but just needs that little bit more speed to challenge with both Rasmus and Parker Thompson. But I'll tell you, here's a kid that continues to get better and better every time he gets in the race car, and I think we're going to see Stingray Robb score a race win before the end of the 2019 season. But Juncos Racing does look good again. Of course, winning the championship last year with Renus VK. They've got a couple of good young drivers. The third-year Indy Pro driver, Stingray Robb, and of course the rookie who was so good last year in USF2000, the Swede, Rasmus Lint.
And for the race fans who are not able to join us here on the streets of St. Petersburg, I'd say a branding situation with Stingray Robb, not only a very unique first name, but when we walk in, there's a huge Idaho potato. And, of course, coming from Idaho, that is a correlation with, of course, Stingray Robb as well, that he representing that big potato as that travels across the United States.
It's part of the sponsorship program. I think the first time we saw it was at Barber Motorsports Park last year, the big Idaho potato rolling in to support Stingray Robb.
The beautiful thing about the big Idaho potato is that people go to touch it because they, is that a real potato? It's really nice.
It's not a real potato.
Not a real potato, but looks as if it is. It's quite impressive. So in any case, 16 minutes left in this qualifying session.
Again, drivers just kind of using these first couple laps to build the heat into their tires. Significantly warmer than it was yesterday morning, Michael. It was a pretty chilly morning, I think 50-something degrees, maybe 60 degrees by the time we got rolling. 67 here to start the day. So we did see some issues yesterday, pretty much primarily based on the fact that it was the USF2000 drivers out. You know, they were out there for one of the first sessions of the day, and it just was super slippery in that race. And the guys had some trouble. Thankfully, a lot warmer this morning. We should see some better racing.
And I'm not complaining because it is beautiful here at St. Petersburg. But this was the first day I didn't come out with a jacket on. It's already got a little humidity in the air. It's going to be a very warm, very beautiful morning here on the streets of St. Pete.
And this is why we start the season for IndyCar and the Road to Indy in Florida. It's beautiful. All right, so drivers now starting to build some heat into these Cooper tires, and we're seeing different drivers jump to the top of the charts as they come by to complete lap number 3. They'll go out here right now, run the first part of this 20-minute session, potentially on the tire, or likely on the tires that they ran yesterday. They may or may not, depending if they'll have used up a set or have a fresh set. We'll drop some fresh Cooper tires on here midway through or early. Remember, not a 30-minute session, so we're not looking at 12 minutes in. With this shorter 20-minute session, we've already seen drivers come in here after 5.5 minutes. They'll make some changes, minor changes to the car based on the feedback from the drivers. Bolt on some fresh Cooper tires and go to work. Right now, Stingray Robb, P1. Michael and I talked a lot about Stingray out of Payette, Idaho. 109.525, his best lap on lap 3. His teammate Rasmus Lint in the number 10 from Sweden. P2 into the pit lane already for service. Nikita Listoshkin for Exclusive Autosports in that third position, but not for long. Moises de Oliveira for D-Force Racing. The Mexican moves up to P3. Good run for Moises yesterday. getting a 6th place finish. But he battled right there, 4th, 5th, and 6th. So I think the D-Force drivers look pretty good.
Think about Moises yesterday. He had a good run and was running 4th for a while, battled for that 3rd position. I believe it was turn 4. He made a mistake, lost a couple positions, and really could never find his way back around once that happened.
And that's the level of competition in this program, right? You've worked so hard over a number of laps to get yourself into a spot. It's just that one mistake. Everybody capitalizes on it, especially in that rhythm section, the back part of the track, that 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 kind of, where you just kind of, I talked to Oliver Askew yesterday. He gave me a lap around for IndyCar Radio, and he said he loves that rhythm section because it's just back and forth. And if you miss one corner, it's hard to get back for the next, and it kind of just, it cascades, or you have trouble all the way to the run onto the back straightaway.
Well, Parker Thompson, P1 right now, minute 9, 10:55. The pole time yesterday for race number 1 was a minute 8, 41:37. I wouldn't be surprised if we eclipse the minute 8 and maybe get a high 107 before this is over.
Well, the thing about Parker Thompson, let's let this out here. He is here on a 1-weekend deal right now with Able Motorsports. He finished 2nd last year in this Indy Pro 2000 program with Exclusive Autosport, was essentially on the sidelines in the offseason with just nowhere to go. Able Motorsports jumps up to Indy Pro 2000, did a couple races in USF2000 last year. And they need a driver who knows his car. They have a notebook for setup that's blank. So let's put the guy last year. Let's put Parker Thompson. Let him start giving us the data that we need. So our young driver Jacob Abel has something that he can look at when they sit down for new data and they overlay their sessions. They're going to say, hey, you need to carry more speed here. Here's what Parker's doing here. He qualifies on pole and wins the race yesterday. Great for the team. They've got good data. Amazing for Parker Thompson because, again, he reminds everybody in the paddock and around the motorsports world that he's a driver who needs to be supported to move up.
It's one of those financial things in so many instances that we see in these programs as drivers move up. Sometimes the funding isn't there and there's no better way to say, hey, look at me, than to win races, to win poles. But for Parker Thompson, the complete package off the track, that young man is so impressive, just the way he presents himself, a great addition to any company. If he wants someone to represent them, if a company wants someone to represent them, Parker Thompson would be that individual.
Well, I would say in the road to Indy, and you probably wouldn't get much argument, he's probably the single best guy outside the car. He's just so well-spoken, loves to be with people, understands the marketing side of the program. Parker Thompson, P1 right now. Moises De Oliveira in 2nd. Daniel Frost from Singapore. 3 races last year in USF2000, making the jump here to Indy Pro 2000. He's a very impressive pilot in the number 68. Nikita Listoshkin will be 8th, or rather will be 4th. Stingray Robb back to 5th. I'll be interested to see if we don't see some more drivers come into pit lane, because there goes, I want to say pulling out there right now, well, that's De Oliveira actually into pit lane. I think Parker Locke might have just left.
Yeah, Parker's been clicking off laps now. Those Coopers, he came in about 2 laps ago, minute 8:36, so has already bettered his pole time from yesterday.
One thing that Parker did do is in qualifying for race number 1, he only used 1 set of tires. He came out, said, you know what, we got the 1 set. We're not going to throw another set on to try to see if we can go quicker. He held on. A couple of the other teams put a set of tires on, so that's going to help him out a little bit as well. Parker Thompson, P1 by almost 0.2 of a second, a 108.365, as we are now past the halfway point of the session. Take this opportunity to say hello to those of you who have tuned in on the Road to Indy TV app. If you have not downloaded it, it's a fantastic way to stay up with the series. Every session streamed live timing, live video. Of course, our live play-by-play as well. Michael Young and I will be doing a lot of this throughout the 2019 season, but just a great deal. You can also grab my Road to Indy Insider podcast on there. Just a good opportunity to stay really close with this Road to Indy. We say hello to those of you who tuned in. So Thompson up front, the Canadian. Then it's the Mexican driver De Oliveira running in 2nd. Then it's from Singapore, Daniel Frost in 3rd. Born in Russia, living in Los Angeles, Nikita Listoshkin now in the 4th spot, and the American Stingray Robb from Idaho rounding out your Fast 5. Interesting, Kyle Kirkwood back in 10th position. Remember, Kyle, the USF2000 champion last year, reset the single-season record for wins, topping J.R. Hildebrandt's 12 with 13 victories last year. And Michael, we talked about the fact that Alex Barron had some trouble in USF2000, that flip at the start of his race. There was an issue with the car of Kirkwood, and he ended up finishing dead last. Right now, P10.
So was there an issue with that car yesterday? Because at the exit of turn number 2, right there, the exit of turn number 3, that car came to the rest. Obviously, he had contact early in the race, and I understood contact the latter part of the race. Is there potential damage to that car? But certainly not as quick as he was.
Not now. They'll no doubt have that fixed up. But yeah, he had that issue at the very start, broke the wing. As he fell back through the field, people are trying to get by him. And as he got near the tail of the field, one driver pinched him down a little bit, I believe. We've seen that happen many times coming out of 2 and 3.
But surprised that he's 11th right now?
I'm very surprised. You'd think that they would make a little bit of the adjustment to get him back forward. So let's see if Kirkwood finds some more speed here late. He's 1.7 back. That's a major issue. We're not talking about being back by half a second. 1.7 back right now for Kirkwood.
And obviously yesterday's qualification session in the cool, the race, he didn't really even have a race to really figure out what they had in conditions much like what we have right now.
He's essentially a full session behind, right?
Yeah.
Didn't get to learn what he wanted from that race. And again, even though he was so good here last year, scoring one of the victories in USF2000, yeah, this is a different race car. This is 100 and something more horsepower, 110 more horsepower, more downforce, more braking capability, bigger tires, a lot more grip for these cars.
7 minutes remaining in this second qualification session. Indy Pro 2000 series.
I'll tell you, Parker Thompson on the pole for race 1, then he won race 1, trying to get the pole for race 2 to set up for another victory. If he could get out of here with a sweep and the points lead. We don't race for 2 months. We're back for the Grand Prix of Indianapolis, the road course race at IMS. He's got 2 months to figure out how much he can get the funding together to get this championship rolling. And we know at the end, at the rung, there's a chance for him to go to Indy Lights with a scholarship for this year. The scholarships, even with Mazda not being here, scholarships still rolling. I'm telling you, this kid needs to put it all together because, as I said, he's a talent. Look at there, Kyle Kirkwood, P1. Wow. I told you, 108.116.
I think they were listening on the public address system. Evidently, that's exactly what had happened. He said, I have to kick it up, gentlemen.
Kyle has said that he listens to the broadcast while he drives. Just wants to make sure that Michael and Rob know what's going on.
Right, exactly. An impressive lap there, minute 8, 11:61, so nearly getting down to that 107 mark that we were talking about a little bit earlier. Stingray Robb, Parker Thompson, Moises de Oliveira, Rasmuth Lint round out your top 5. Rasmuth finishing P2 yesterday, started on the outside of row number 1. He's currently on the provisional inside of row number 3.
What I'm looking for here, we're almost at a new track record. Oliver Askew setting it last year with a new PM18, a 108.103. We're looking to flirt with a new track record here in Indy Pro 2000. Kirkwood, a 108.116. Parker Thompson, 108.240. And remember, tire temperatures coming up as Daniel Frost comes down pit lane. Tire temperatures coming up, fuel load going down. This is when these drivers have to make sure that they have, number 1, open racetrack, and number 2, they have to lay the lap down. Kyle Kirkwood, a new track record. New track record for Kyle Kirkwood for RP Motorsports Racing. 108.040.
Well, that is something else to go from a minute 10 and shave off 2 seconds in about a minute or so. Literally only a minute has eclipsed that, or 2 minutes off that clock.
One of the things about the Cooper tires, right, you can't go out and attack them. A lot of drivers will tell you that you bring them up to speed a little more slowly. It's just under 5 minutes remaining. Still a lot of drivers ready to go at it here. Parker Thompson still second. Rasmus Lint in third. Daniel Frost in the 4th spot. Stingray Robb in 5th. Moises de Oliveira in 6th, Nikita Listoshkin 7th, Jacob Abel now 8th, Philippe Dennis for Fat Boy Racing in 9th, Corey Enders for D-Force Racing 10th, Antonio Serravalle in 11th, and it's Damiano Fioravanti. We're going to work on that one for this year. Fioravanti in 12th, Parker Locke 13th, and Charles Finelli has not taken to the track as of yet, I believe. I'm not sure if he's out here yet. Stingray Robb to second, Michael. 108.221. Robb up to P2 to within 0.2 of Kyle Kirkwood. 4 minutes remaining.
I would not be surprised if we see a sub-minute 8 before this is over.
I think we're going to see a 7.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Parker Thompson really, really hustling that car around. Every now and then we'll get a shot of him on our video boards, and you can tell that he is pushing that car. So too the 28 of Kyle Kirkwood, provisional pole sitter thus far with a new track record. Minute 8:04:01. 3 minutes remaining in this qualification session.
Less than 0.3 of a second separate your fast 5. Kyle Kirkwood, Stingray Robb, Parker Thompson, Rasmus Lint, and Daniel Frost. We've got ourselves a fight up front, and indeed, that's 4 different teams as well. That's RP Motorsports Racing, Juncos Racing, Able Motorsports, and Exclusive Auto Sport. I like this battle so far. This is good. 3 minutes to go in the session. 3 to go. Kirkwood. No quicker action. Kirkwood got off at big time. He dropped down to 116. I think he wanted to give himself some open racetrack. He's probably closing up. Use that one lap to try to gap things back. Same thing going on here right now with the number 10 of Rasmus Lint. He's trying to give himself some open racetrack. Now he's well off it now. Here comes, I think, Corey Enders closing up on him. We'll see if Lint's actually off the throttle or just trying to gap himself.
Well, it was interesting. Stingray Robb was following. Rasmus Lint was coming through, and then you were talking to Kyle Kirkwood had slowed up.
I think that was Stingray that was closing up.
Stingray was closing in right on the rear wing of that number 28 entry for Kyle Kirkwood. So Stingray, a tough position to be in if Kyle's trying to gap himself and slow down. Stingray's in that spot of the track now where you can't really get around easily unless Kyle let him go.
True enough. Last time by for Parker Thompson, a 109.8, but 1.6 off his best lap. He may be trying to cool the tires a little bit as well here as we go for a big run late. Kyle Kirkwood on the provisional pole now by about 1.5 over Stingray Robb. Parker Thompson and Rasmus Lint on row number 2. Yeah, one of the drivers off the pace, the 51 to Jacob Abel. He's letting drivers through, coming through 4, 5, and 6. Coming up to a minute and 15 to go. Let's see if these guys get at it, because this is when the tires are still good. And Parker Thompson goes P1. I was just going to say, fuel level starting to go down. The car getting a bit lighter. Parker Thompson goes into the 7s, 107.9248.
That's also a new track record. Parker Thompson with the quickest lap we've seen thus far in this Indy Pro 2000 campaign. Eclipses the old track record by nearly 0.2 of a second. Extremely good lap from Parker Thompson. Kyle Kirkwood right there, though, a minute 8:04:01. And as Rob had said, Kirkwood trying to cool those tires a little bit. Stingray Robb just turned in a lap, a minute 8:59. His best, a minute 8:19. So all these drivers trying to get one good one in as we have 23 seconds left in qualifying.
This is it right now here in qualifying for Indy Pro 2000, presented by Cooper Tires. This is the run. Fuel levels are low. You see that Kirkwood also, we talked about him laying back a bit. We saw that Parker Thompson cooled the tires down. Went about maybe a second and a half off his best pace, then went 2 seconds quicker. Checker flag is going to fly here momentarily. Time has hit the 0 mark. Drivers will work their way into the pit lane. They get that one more run, though, the timing stripe, just before they come to the final corners on this racetrack. Checker flag is out. Does anybody have anything for Parker Thompson? Indy Pro 2000 qualifying for race 2. 107.924, provisional pole for the Canadian out of Red Deer, Alberta. Thompson, Kirkwood, Robb, Frost, and Lint. That's it for Kirkwood. That's it for Robb. That's it for Frost, and that is it, I believe, for Parker Thompson as well. Rasmus Lint would be the only driver to jump up. He'd have to find 0.4. Time winding down to cap things off. Parker Thompson still on provisional pole, but we will not call it until Rasmus Lint posts the checker. And he does. Back-to-back pole positions for Parker Thompson for Able Motorsports. He drives his number 8 PM18 to a new track record, 107.924. As Michael had said, about 2/10 quicker than the record set last year by Oliver Askew, who now runs with Andretti Autosport and Indy Lights. Parker Thompson, runner-up last year in the championship, off to a great start for the 2019 season.
And you can't ask anything more from a driver than what Parker Thompson is doing right now. They brought him in to help the team get data, to help that team get up to speed. Parker making the call yesterday, as you had said, let's just stick with this one set of tires. Yep. Doing a very IndyCar-esque call there, that the team putting their faith in that driver. He has that knowledge, he's bringing it in, and he's answering with not only a new track record, but eclipsing the rest of the field, about a tenth or two from Kyle Kirkwood, who had a great qualification run, but still Parker the class of this field so far.
Well, you know that they were on the radio with him yesterday as well, right? When he lost that lead after qualifying on pole, they were on the radio, and Parker showing that experience that he has, that patience, that poise, running second to Rasmus Lindh, then makes the path with about 6 or 7 to go. He gets the win. Same thing here. He's coming down to the final couple of minutes. They're saying, hey, dude, you're P3 right now. You're P2. Kirkwood's on top. You've got to find a little more. We watched it. He went down to a 109, backed it off by about a second and a half, and then turned the wick back up and laid down a new track record. 107.924. Parker Thompson on the pole once again here for the second rung of the Road to Indy, presented by Cooper Tires.
And you look at the 13 cars that have qualified from Parker Thompson to Antonio Serravalle, the top 10 cars within 1 second of each other. But you look at the top 6, they're within 0.3 of each other.
It's big. Moises de Oliveira stepping it up near the end. So Parker Thompson, P1, as we said, folks. Kyle Kirkwood qualifying second for RP Motorsport Racing. Stingray Robb for Juncos Racing in P3. The exclusive Autosport driver Daniel Frost in 4th, and rounding out your Fast 5, the other Juncos driver, Rasmus Lindh. Moises de Oliveira for D-Force Racing in the 6th spot. Nikita Listoshkin for exclusive Autosport in 7th. The D-Force driver Corey Enders in 8th. Damiano Fioravanti.
I'll let you say it all year long.
Wow, thank you. You will, won't you?
Yeah, I will.
Antonio Serravalle rounding out the top 10. Jacob Abel, Philippe Dennis, Parker Locke, and Charles Finelli to cap off the 14 drivers we have in Indy Pro 2000 here in 2019. Great session to get things underway. We go from the second rung of the Road to Indy to the very top rung. Indy Lights up next.
Our thanks to Rob Howden, the voice of this Road to Indy.